Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Primetime Gaming Special Edition. I am your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news regarding ABK, of course, Activision Blizzard King. Obviously, the talk of the town last week was, of course, the commentary from Sony proper, PlayStation, crying the blues, if you will, to the Brazilian regulators regarding the deal and how it would impact Sony's bottom line. Well, a lot of the Microsoft responses were redacted, but today, ladies and gentlemen, oh my God, do we have some incredible news for you. We actually have a story that was brought to us by VGC, of course, short for videogameschronicles.com. I talk about them quite often. You know, they're one of my favorite places to get news from. And they dropped a bomb regarding the redacted information of Microsoft's response. We're going to talk about that momentarily, but real quick, before we get into it, we are waiting for a few guests to show up. I know Crispy Bomb should be here momentarily if he's not here already because I'm not on the page. I do want to shout out a Twitter member. He goes by the name of BMG underscore King, and it's at King underscore KILLR 66 of Twitter. He added me regarding this story and he says, yo, this is crazy. So I immediately, I'm sitting home, I'm a retired dude, so I can move on these stories on the drop of a dime. So big shout out to BMG underscore King for including me in his tweet regarding the new story from VGC. And we're gonna break down momentarily. I want to shout out we already have, this is crazy, 106 people here. We're 2 minutes in. I'm sitting here solo. I'm waiting for some backup from the podcast community. But folks, I'm gonna continue my little rant here. Listen, this is not about hating Sony. If you know me, if you follow Double Barrel Gaming, you know that I have more times than not talked up Sony because I have a PlayStation 5. I have a PlayStation VR. I'm going to have a PlayStation VR 2.0 when that releases. I'm a fan of the brand. What I'm not a fan of, folks, is terror tactics and bully-like tactics. And this is something that we have seen happen time and time again from Sony. And what I think frustrates me and annoys me a little bit as a content creator that has watched this industry with a keen eye since coming on the scene to be a content creator myself, in 2017, is Sony does what Sony wants to do, and we are supposed to take it, right? No one says anything. When they do something that's considered, or out of line, it's accepted as fact. It's accepted as, hey, listen, let's, they're the market leader. They're allowed to do it. And we've seen more often than not when Microsoft goes and does something, it's always scrutiny. It's always a conversation about how dare you, Microsoft. Well, this is one of those instances that, again, frustrates me as a content creator who has been watching from abroad to see, I like taking the RTS view, as Steel Rain says, on a weekly basis on Living Split Screen, which, speaking of Steel Rain, he will be sitting down with me one-on-one tomorrow for the new episode of X Vlog Live. We're going to be talking about Grand Theft Auto 6. We got a couple of other stories that we're going to be talking about that are Xbox related. And one of the big talking points for tomorrow is, with Microsoft locking up Call of Duty, which is the biggest IP in the world, would it be in their best interest to potentially drop the bag over at 2K and lock up marketing rights for Grand Theft Auto 6? Because just think about this for a second. Again, this is going to be a conversation, a big one tomorrow. But if they have Call of Duty and that's being put on Xbox Series X and S paper boxes, or they have it in Xbox Game Pass, Call of Duty is eventually going to be in Game Pass. It's not happening next year because there's no new Call of Duty. It may not happen the year after, but we're still years out from Grand Theft Auto 6. wouldn't it be dominant for Microsoft to have the marketing rights for Grand Theft Auto 6 and have Call of Duty and their own first party? Man, it would be a conversation. And we're going to have that tomorrow. But let's continue on my rant regarding Sony's shenanigans, if you will, as we wait for hopefully a few other people to join in, because I could talk for an hour, so it's no big deal. But we're going to be here for about 60 minutes. You're going to get some Call of Duty Black Ops 3 gameplay in the background. So sit back, enjoy the conversation. But, you know, one of the things for me that immediately jumped off the page when this whole Brazilian regulatory, conversation happened, and, you know, all the documents were put out there on the socials for us to read. The fact that Sony is playing coy and they're playing the victim here is hard to believe, folks. Like, it's honestly hard to believe that Sony, who has notoriously for years, almost the entire PlayStation 4 generation, moving into now the new PlayStation 5 generation that's now going to be 2 years old, has gone out of their way to funnel new and old players to their brand. And how have they done that, ladies and gentlemen? Is it terror tactics? Is it bully tactics? Is it just business? Well, that's very subjective. You know, you're going to sit here and you're going to sit there in your chair or your car or wherever. Maybe you're at work right now and you're listening to the podcast. That's really interpretation for you to decide. But I call it bully tactics, because we have heard a couple of times, and we've talked about this on numerous podcasts, that we have heard that Sony, if you don't play nice with Sony, you get put on the outs. And what does that mean? Well, you don't get the review code of the new God of War or The Last of Us or whatever. Or you won't get you won't get the interview with Jim Ryan, or you won't have a chance to, be first for any of Sony's big news. And they have people under they do have these sites, like, there's several sites like IGN. It appears like they're under the thumb of Sony because some of the stories they run, right? We've talked about IGN more times than not, even I think last week's Breakfast with Boom, on how they report certain things with Xbox versus how they report things with PlayStation. And it's clear. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, the report comes the way, again, of VGC, and the title of this clearly says Microsoft shoots down Sony's claims that its Activision acquisition is anti-competitive. And this is written by Chris Scullion, and he says the claims are simply this is a quote from Microsoft. The claims are simply unjustifiable under any quantitative or qualitative analysis, and that's coming directly from Xbox. I'm gonna read verbatim for the story. And again, the reason why I'm doing that, I normally do show notes, but I literally got this 20 minutes ago, and I'm live at 1:30. This is, again, reading verbatim from the article that is going to be previewed, and it is from VGC. They say this: last month, Sony told Brazilian regulatory body CADE, which is investigating the acquisition which they're investigating the acquisition. The acquisition in question could influence players to switch from PlayStation to Xbox. Well, tough titty, PlayStation. You've been doing it with console exclusives that are third party, right? Has anybody on Xbox seen Final Fantasy VII? Should I fill out a missing persons report for that game? Because that was supposed to release last year during the spring. Like I said, I'd say this all the time because, the proof is in the pudding. I have the special edition right here, literally beside me, that has a sticker on it that says, and this is a PlayStation sticker, timed exclusive to spring of 2021. Has anyone here played Final Fantasy VII Remake on your Xbox? Because I know I haven't. I've been waiting for it. But the article continues and says this: at the same time, it argued Call of Duty is so popular that it influences users' choice of console, and that its community is loyal users, is entrenched enough that even if a competitor had the budget to develop a similar product, it would not be able to rival it. Now, all of this hubbub and all of this information comes way of reset era member IDAS, and it's spelled IDAS. And Microsoft has officially replied to Cade with a lengthy response dismissing Sony's claims. Now, obviously, it's still me just here. I don't know. I'm just going to give me a second to check my my DMs to see if anyone has responded. Whether or not this is just going to be a me and you conversation. And in fact, if that's the case, that's perfectly fine, because like I said, this is impromptu. I didn't expect to do a podcast. We are doing primetime gaming proper this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm not going to be able to answer anyone in the chat like I normally do, because obviously I'm running a one-man show here. But I do want to thank, and this is crazy, we're 11 minutes in and there are nearly 300 people here. I can't thank you enough. Like I said, doing content creation on YouTube, not guaranteed success. And I want to thank you for taking the time of your day to be here. But of course, let me continue with the article. And I'm gonna take some breaks. Obviously take a little sip of water, and I want to bring the chat in on the conversation, because this is pretty interesting stuff here. And this is what the article continues to say. It says, as IDAS reports, Microsoft stated this. Not surprisingly, Sony was the only third party to convey public opinion materially different from MS and ABK and the third parties regarding the competitive analysis of this transaction. Microsoft has claimed that Sony doesn't want to see Call of Duty games on Xbox Game Pass day one because it's not resigned to having to compete with Microsoft's subscription service. And they go on to say, and this again, that I quote, this is coming directly from Microsoft, ladies and gentlemen, Sony's public outcry on subscription services and the company's response are clear. Sony doesn't want attractive subscription services to threaten its dominance in the market for digital distribution of console games, it's claimed. Now, I'm going to stop right there, and I want to talk about this. Folks, look, the bottom line is this. Right now, I've said this on numerous podcasts, and I don't want to sound like I'm being repetitive, but it's very important to the conversation. Microsoft has circled the wagons around the entire industry. That includes the industry proper. That includes both Nintendo, PC, and especially Microsoft. And when I say that they have circled the wagons, okay, what that simply means is that they have positioned the platform and the brand to take over leadership duties as market leader. And they're going to do that. It's not if it's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. I am telling you that it's going to happen. And you can see that with all of the subtle moves that when you look at it from a finite point of view, you might not see it. And let's welcome in Crispy Bomb. Crispy, thank you so much for joining me, brother. I put this in the DM. I wasn't sure if I was going to get anybody. How the heck are you?
Yeah, that's an interesting article, Boom. I got a little smile on my face.
Indeed it is.
I got a little smile on my face. So
well, it's puts a smile on your face because it's pretty pathetic, is what it is. It's laughable that Sony, who has been the schoolyard bully for almost in the entirety of the PlayStation 4 generation, currently is still the next generation market leader with nearly 22 million consoles sold, as opposed to Microsoft's very close 16 million. And they have the literal audacity to claim being a victim that if Microsoft were to take over the Call of Duty, somehow their bottom line is going to be hurt. And you know something? You're damn right it is, because who in the chat, and Crispy, we're already 316 people deep here. Who of the 316 people that are here would rather pay $76.43 in New York for the next Call of Duty, or go download it on your Xbox Game Pass for as cheap once the family plan releases, $5 per month. Just think about that for a second, ladies and gentlemen. That's why that's, again, the word scared, it was, I think, might have been overused by a lot of clickbaiters. Sony's concerned, and they have every freaking right to be, because again, this circle wagon thing that I was talking about, once this deal, this family plan releases, it is going to be industry changing. Microsoft is going to find themselves with potentially, and again, this comes the way of Michael Pachter, 100+ million subscribers, which equates to over $1 billion per month if they get to that number. Is that not insane? $12 billion a year Microsoft could make just on Xbox Game Pass and its family plan? That's bonkers. So, Crispy, we're going to take this in parts, and I do want to reread what I wrote and get your opinion on this. Now, this is the first paragraph. This is the first response from Microsoft. Remember, this was all redacted, and now we have it in front of us. He says, Sony's public outcry on subscription games and the company's response are clear. Sony doesn't want attractive subscription services to threaten its dominance in the market for digital distribution of console games, it's claimed. Now, this is where the 76-43 versus potentially as low as $5 per month comes into question. Listen, 80%, Crispy, of Sony's 115 million consoles sold for the PlayStation 4 are no doubt the casual audience. That casual audience, I'm not saying all 80 million of them are going to come over, but when tasked to spend $76 on a Call of Duty game in this era of how expensive it is to buy milk and gas and everything else, and you look across the way on the other side of the lake, and they're selling it for $5 a month with you and your 5 buddies, or your 4 buddies can go and play Call of Duty together. You all chip in. You're paying $25 a month, $5 a piece. Who's not going to want to hang out in that party? What are your thoughts on that, Crispy?
I mean, this is why, not having exclusives has become very niche thought process, because in realism, we all said that we don't believe they're going to just take Call of Duty away from PlayStation gamers. I think we were all in pretty much agreement, and I every podcast.
It's leaving millions of dollars on the table. Why would you do that?
And that's what they, we can break it down even more, but they said that, okay? And, you could say contractual agreements, all this. Minecraft is a juggernaut. Call of Duty, if it is made right, can be just as big as your Black Ops, your Modern Warfare 2. I'm going to tell you right now, that thing's going to sell gangbusters. You know what I'm saying? And if it is in Game Pass or not, it doesn't matter, because we all know it's eventually going to be in Game Pass. So then you make the decision. Do you buy it on your Xbox or you don't? And this is the decision you always have when you have Game Pass. And that's to go to say, if people bought Stray or not, okay? You could have got it for what your subscription was. This is the
Which
problem.
Is exactly what I did, Crispy. That's exactly what I did.
Sony is literally contradicting themselves, and they have literally just backed themselves in a corner. And this is where I go and say, this coming out now scares them, because now they know, okay, everybody knows that Microsoft is not happy. Okay, they're not. All right, they are pissed that Sony, who is technically a partner with them, everybody realized that. Azure servers, remember the deal. Okay, they are a partner. Now you have pissed off. You haven't pissed off Nintendo, okay? Because Microsoft could buy you both. If the government allowed them, they could buy you both. I'm just telling you, if you agreed to it and the government allowed it, yeah, they could buy you both. So you have woken a sleeping bear, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, when Satya came out and said, we are going to buy up as much as humanly possible, basically. That's what he basically said to you. Okay, we are open for business. We will buy up developers. They are going for the subscription model. Are they first to it? I mean, technically, no. I mean, there's been subscriptions for, God, so long for us. We just never acknowledged it as that. But, I mean, we've been paying for Xbox Live forever. We're just getting games for it now. You know what I'm saying? So, you're going to have your, they've shown that you're going to charge you for some DLC, but I mean, $20 is reasonable. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, upgrading your game and getting, paying the whole $70 all over again. It's not that. So Sony is like, what are we doing here? And they are clearly going that route, but I don't know why they would say this to begin with. And I'm sure they did not expect this to come out, by the way.
No, I have a strong suspicion that they did not understand that specifically with Brazil, and again, I'm speaking only about the Brazilian regulators. When they have these kinds of conversations, it's standard fare for them to be put out for the public to read. So this isn't somebody that snuck into the room and took some like Black Ops and took a couple of pictures and then posted it online. This is public knowledge. I think you're right. I think you're onto something. But listen, let me continue with what the story, what Microsoft had to say in regards to this, and then we'll continue with your conversation, Crispy. It says, in other words, Sony rails against the introduction of new monetization models capable of challenging its own business model. Now, the article continues and says, Microsoft also shoots down Sony's claim that Call of Duty is in a category of games all by itself, stating that the PlayStation itself has a foundation established by players loyal to the brand. And this is where it gets super interesting, Crispy. These are the next two excerpts from Microsoft. These are their exact responses, and I'll read them verbatim. This finding, however, does not lead to the conclusion that the PlayStation or any branded product with loyal consumers is a separate market from all other consoles. Exploring from such a finding, the extreme conclusion that Call of Duty is a game category in itself is simply unjustifiable under any quantitative or qualitative analysis. Now that is where you drop the exclamation point that's the size of the Empire State Building, because it's clear that Sony tried to position Call of Duty to be, listen, Call of Duty is big. And there's no doubt about it. It is going to move people from one console platform to another. And if you think that that's not going to happen, then there's two things. One, you are a straight up liar. And two, you just don't know how to read the room, because there is a monster reason why Sony would pay Activision upwards of $300 million per year for those marketing rights, when, remember, they used to be on Xbox, and Xbox did not want to spend that money, and they relinquished it. They said, no, we're not going to do it. Sony jumped in like a thief in the night, and it was good, smart business, because for the entire entity of the PlayStation 4 era, which was last gen, it was marketed under PlayStation. And how many people went to PlayStation because Call of Duty was the home of it? Ridiculous, millions upon millions. You don't spend upwards of $300 million per year for marketing rights of a game that you don't have faith in, that's not going to bring people to your brand. So obviously, Sony did this last gen, and now they have the audacity to have concerns that Microsoft is just buying the brand out from them. Crispy, what are your thoughts on what Microsoft had to say in the last paragraph?
You know what's funny? They quietly just told you, because I see a lot of Sony. I see a lot of stuff that I should probably be blocking right now, but we're talking right now. For you Sony fans that are in here, if Destiny 3, they already said they're going to release it all over the place. If it's in the subscription service for PlayStation, do you think me as an Xbox gamer is going to be mad? Nope. It's called competition. That's what we're talking about here. Talking about competition. And Microsoft wants to play a different game. They don't want to play this exclusive only game. They have a service that is of value. Okay. But why do you think T-Mobile has become one of the largest company, cellular companies in the world? They continue to give you value. Okay. They continue to advertise. And Microsoft's barely even doing that. They're doing it word of mouth and social media. They're doing it differently. Okay. While Sony sits there silent. And half the time, at least this year, when we find out something that Sony said, it ain't good. And that doesn't look good. Okay. And we're looking at this and we're saying, you have angered a beast that can do things that you can't. Okay. And they can take it. They're not is Game Pass like this huge thing right now, making tons of money. No. And everybody says, how can they afford it? Because there is an R&D budget. There are all of these things that are involved inside this ginormous company. This is the same thing that Amazon and Apple have. Okay. They take losses to make gains. And if you don't understand that, you need to go and look up the stock market because it's the same kind of thing. Okay. You have to realize that there are losses that you take to make gains. Sometimes I sell a stock because I could buy a better one and make more money off of it. And I might take a loss on that stock. Okay. That's the same type of thing in business. Like my company, we have butchers. Other companies have gotten rid of them. Sure, a butcher costs more, but now because these other companies don't have a butcher, guess what? The people that want to see the meat cut and want, fresh cut meat, guess who they're going to? So our business has went up tenfold compared to the competitors. Okay. So this is where I go and say they're just playing a different game. And this is what we call competition. And this is where you go and say, like I said, actually the other night or the other afternoon on Xbox Factor, we want Sony to compete in the multiplayer space because they're really not. I'm sorry. They're relying completely on third party for the most part. You can give me your factions from freaking 10 years ago and all that stuff. Cool. Okay, whatever. Like you were in the day and age when like Killzone 1 and 2 were pretty good first-person shooters, by the way, which we're talking about a first-person shooter, not a different genre. You want to say a different genre, you say Minecraft. That technically I would consider something different, especially when it came out. Okay, but this is not a different genre. I mean, it literally, if Halo came out on both consoles and there was no problem, I guarantee you it'd be up there. I'm just telling you. Okay, and you look at that and you say, okay, but what about your third person story driven over the shoulder games? That's
which is what I love about Sony.
And they basically own that market. I am completely honest as an Xbox gamer. They 100%. Own that market. Okay. Yep. And there are some, third party developers that are going to cut. Like I think a Plague's Tale Requiem is going to surprise a lot of people. I'm on the same
but
campus.
There are a few. There are few.
There are very few.
When you say that they own that market, you are absolutely right. But listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm not a Sony fan. I am a Sony fan. I have a PlayStation 5 for those exact reasons. I'm an old school gamer. I'm going to be 52 in September. I like single player experiences. I'm not into the whole multiplayer thing. I will play multiplayer on certain games, but for me, mostly, I want to put on a pair of my Sony headphones, shut the lights, get invested in the character, whether that be Aloy, whether that be Nathan Drake, whether that be Kratos in God of War, which is releasing later this year. I want to enjoy the experience and the story, and Sony does it better than anybody. That's not even a question that we're having.
And the
reality is, and I want to read something to you. I pulled up an article, and again, I'm just pulled it up, just for shits and giggles to give people the idea of how important this marketing coming back to Xbox is going to be. This comes the way of, where is this? WCCFtech.com. They're another site that I like. They say this: PlayStation platforms dominate Call of Duty Vanguard physical sales, UK sales, with PlayStation 5 version outselling both the Xbox Series XS and Xbox One versions combined. Now think about that for a second. That's only one region, which obviously in the UK, they were 7-2 or even 7-1 PlayStation 4 versus Xbox One last gen. Jim Ryan was very much responsible for that because of his business tactics. And they through almost the entire generation, it was PlayStation that took over that region when it used to be Xbox. So just commenting on this, Crispy, when Microsoft gets back to marketing rights, what happened last generation is going to happen this generation, except it's going to be roles reversed. Do you think?
There's one of two things that could happen. They could resell the marketing rights to PlayStation just to be dirty.
They could.
All right, and they could say, okay, well, you remember it was 300 million or whatever.
Now it's 500 million.
Now it's 500 million.
Yeah,
they could do that. Okay, because now I'm telling you, the way they're wording stuff, the response to this was very unlike Microsoft. Now they were very they played nice as far as the word play, but if you really look at the whole, of what they said, it is scary for Sony, because Sony has to rely on them already because they have technically a partnership, and on top of that, you had something come out you didn't. So you look at that and you say, what are we looking at in the future? You know what I mean? I want Sony to compete. I think we all want that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could charge people $18, but if they get day and date games, I think they'll be pretty happy.
Sure.
I don't think a lot of people, I think a lot of people are like you, Boom, like, hey, I get the bare minimum. I get a few games here, like Stray. I mean, I hear great things about Stray. I got no problem with it.
Stray is actually quite good. I'm quite enjoying it, to be
honest.
Like,
a lot of people are like, I pull jokes on some of my friends, like, hey, the cat game, you know what I mean? But I'm a cat lover, so I can do that. You know what I mean? Like, I got 3 cats, you know what I mean? Like, I'd play the game. So, like, you look at that and you say, like, if they, pull out like Destiny and throw it in there and stuff like that, like, but they're not all in. And it's because of the overhead. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I'm being honest here. Sony doesn't have the overhead Microsoft does.
No.
They can't take $1 billion loss. Microsoft still has like what, 40 million just sitting there, like cash money. Like, it's not even like
they have
stocks
billions.
or nothing.
They have billions of cash, dude.
Like that,
it's ridiculous how much they have in cash and that they're willing to reinvest it. Yeah.
It kind of reeled me back in, Boom, because I'm kind of going off on a tangent. But
no. Listen, this is a conversational. It's just me and you.
What was your kind of original question?
Here,
you know what I'm saying?
You know what? Let me just say this. I see a lot of Sony fans here, and that's awesome. Right? Listen, Double Barrel Gaming, we do not clown on anyone because they like a certain console. Everyone is welcome here. The chat, very friendly. As long as you don't get into your feelings, regardless of what console you find, and you start, bullying, then we have to take a couple of actions. But if you are finding the channel for the first time, and there's a lot of new faces here, which, again, I'm incredibly honored that you took the time to check this out. We're 73 subs away from 11K. Now, again, maybe that's not a big deal for a lot of people, but I've only been doing this since November 3rd of 2017. This year will be 5 years. I'm a retired guy. I came into the game incredibly late. So if you are checking out the channel and you like the banter, please consider subscribing. Hit the like button. Oh, real quick. Wow. We have a monster super chat to come in from Gameonomics, which I believe equates to $20, which is awesome. He says, "Hi, Boom. This is unrelated, but I studied through and kept a sane mind through the lockdowns, watching your shows." Oh, that's awesome. My results came in, and I am a lawyer as of today. Thank you. You helped me through this indirectly, dude.
Congratulations.
That is freaking absolutely amazing. Congratulations on that. And you know what? The generosity is welcomed, but the kind words are greatly appreciated. And I'm glad. One of the things, if you folks remember, one of the things I immediately did is add an additional show during the lockdown because, it sucked. We were all stuck inside. We couldn't do anything. Mrs. Boom was still on the front lines, right? She was still there with the seniors, getting there, giving their shots, giving their meals and stuff. But again, that's goosebump inducing, brother. So thank you so much for the kind words, but of course the generosity. But Crispy, look, what I have something else here. I pulled up again. This comes the way of Tweaktown. This was written by Derek Strickland. And the lead title of this article, and this is an older one, it says, of course, Vanguard sales are down. 2020 was Call of Duty's best year ever. And what's crazy is even though Vanguard was not that great of a game, sales were down. Crispy, do you know what the number one selling game of last year was? Wow, that would be Call of Duty Vanguard. So just to prove the importance of this deal for Microsoft and why Sony is concerned is exactly what we're going to get to as we continue this conversation. Because you know what the reality is? And I've said this before, Crispy, and I think you've been in the room when I've said this. Once Microsoft is able to take whatever Call of Duty is current and slap that on any of their boxes, meaning the Xbox Series X, the Series S, the handheld that supposedly they're working with Logitech, or the stick you plug in that's going to be $99 with a controller, it's game over, no pun intended. Sony is going to find themselves in third place. That's right. Sony will no longer be the market leader. Nintendo will be number 2. Microsoft will reign supreme at number 1, and Sony's going to sit at third. And you know something? Maybe, just maybe, folks, all of this pressure that's on Sony, maybe we get first-party day and date because they're forced to. Because think about this for a second, and no one's talking about this. We'll talk about it right now. If you are paying for the premium service of Sony, it's $18 a month. You get some games like Stray in there, which is awesome, which is why I did it, but you're not getting day and date. You're not getting The Last of Us remake. What are your thoughts on that, Crispy?
Well, you have to look at it this way. You have all these first party, and you're not doing anything with it except finally releasing some to PC. Well, everybody said that wasn't possible. So, some of you guys need to kind of take a step back and realize that, us Xbox gamers, look at Microsoft and say, they've been wrong a lot. They have screwed up a lot. Poor Mixer. That just turned into an absolute.
That was a bad move.
But Game Pass, a little bit ahead, just a little bit, and then they said, okay, we see something here. And it really, people could say what they want, but they saw when Gears 5 dropped in there, day and date, and this is after Sea of Thieves and State of Decay, that all of a sudden they had probably 1 million, 2 million uptick in subscribers immediately. And, these are hardcore Gears fans. They're just like, screw it. Like, we can get it for $15. Hello, value. So they're a little bit ahead. And then you have Stadia. Okay. And this is where I go and say, people are like, how can they afford this and that? Google has just taken the hugest hit. It's like $1 billion hit. Stadia is a failure. Okay. And they took that hit like nothing. That's what Microsoft can do. But now they're like, oh, Game Pass keeps growing. And then you look at Sony and you say, well, what are you doing for me? And you're charging me a couple dollars more.
Well, Crispy, think about this for a second, because I had to answer the door. This is where I want to talk, do the one-to-ones, right? Microsoft has introduced a new plan in the form of a family plan just in time when the world is basically have taken a shit when it comes to what your value of your dollar is worth. What we're paying for groceries and gas and everyday real life things is double what it was 2 years ago. And I understand that nobody wants to talk about cream cheese. Nobody wants to talk about gas and how much that soda is almost $3 a bottle now. Nobody wants to talk about that because it's a joke. But the reality is if you will happen to have one person making a salary, video games are not a priority. Well, Microsoft is going to introduce potentially later this year in the States up to 5 people, yourself and 4 additional people, for $25 a month for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes streaming, which includes PC, versus Sony's proposed $18 a month that only includes old games, which there's nothing wrong with that. I love the old stuff. I'm still waiting for MotorStorm to drop onto the service because I will play that. It's one of my favorite racers of all time,
Yeah,
right? $18 for no day and dates, some indies, older games, no streaming service like xCloud versus $25 a month, 5 people on the service, cloud, PC, console, day and date games. Folks, I'm not a snake oil salesman, but I got to tell you, if you find more value on the right than you do the left, you're lying to yourself. But please continue.
You haven't turned into Destin Legarie now, like you know, and you got to realize this, okay? Because a lot of people are like, so I remember we were talking the other day about Game Pass mobile. You know what I'm saying? So mobile Game Pass. One thing I'll say is I think it's going to be $10, just like PC Game Pass.
Right.
The ultimate is where you'll be able to do all the other things, which makes total sense. Like if you want to be able to do everything, you pay for ultimate. You know what I mean? Which it gives you its perceived value. Like it's already there. Okay. So like I pay $15. I can do everything. The young one upstairs used my PC Game Pass once in a while. Okay. Because I already have ultimate. He just signs into my account.
Right.
Okay. Which is great. These things are, they're there, but the family plan makes it much easier than, doing the shared Xbox console. They're probably going to eliminate that now. They're going to say, we got to move forward in some way, shape, or form, and they got to get their money in a way. You know what I'm saying? But $25, if it's that, even if it's $30, I mean, really, you look at it, you get a group of friends, you get some family members. I share subscriptions with all like my girlfriend's family members, my family members. You know what I mean? We share subscriptions. That's why when like Netflix started saying that BS, I was like, dude, you guys promoted this for a while. Like,
yeah,
you
they
can't
sure
go
did.
and backtrack. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when they do, like, they're going to have a lawsuit. So I think that's why it's quieted down. You know what I mean? But Sony, I know they have like a way of doing kind of like the shared console thing, I believe, stuff like that. But at the same time, it doesn't work the same. Like, when I have friends that have been PlayStation game and that will still defend PlayStation, but they sold their PlayStation 5, I go and say, well, I don't know. You're telling me with what you're doing, what is really going on here? Who's like, well, it's hard to afford because I want to play their exclusives, but I can't be spending $70. And I say, I'm just saying this is our point here. Like, this is where we're at. So, you look at it and you just gotta say, Sony is, we said, I think they're scared now because they didn't want all this to come out. I don't think they did.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
This is a bit of a black eye, dude.
I
got to be honest with you. It is a black eye.
I really don't know what's going on over there lately. Like, I feel like all of these, like, we're supposedly going to get a God of War leak soon, from what I'm hearing. I wouldn't doubt it. You know what I'm saying? Like some kind of like the Last of Us 2. That was a travesty.
That stolen or the recovered laptop with the 100+ gigs of Sony info. Yeah, that's real.
So I mean, we're at a point where like it's almost like Xbox and PlayStation have role reversed on the marketing and keeping things under wrap side, because this is what we were talking about. What's happening to Xbox, a couple of years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like for the E3 stuff like that. And they would just say, it's happening or whatever. Like, and Sony just like sits there quiet, and then more bad stuff comes out. And it's like, and then you have, Microsoft, like they probably left it there for a reason and said maybe Sony can go out and apologize. And they didn't. They probably just acted like nothing happened. So now Microsoft's okay. Yeah, you want to run the story? Go ahead. Run the story. Let them see everything. Let them see what we had to say, because they're the market leader right now. Sony is literally beating a dead horse right now because they are the market leader as far as, non-mobile device games. Like, Switch is technically, a mobile device in a way. You could connect it to your TV, but most people use it as a mobile device. So, we're talking, just that the two behemoths that go at each other for the power, the price, everything else. And you're going to go and say all these things and not expect Microsoft to respond. But I think, they waited. They waited. Maybe if Sony said, we didn't really mean it like that or whatever, Microsoft might not have let this happen. But now you got the bull, and the bull sees that.
Or they woke the sleeping giant. They whatever analogy you want to add to it, the reality is that Microsoft has taken this shit serious. And like I said, how serious are they taking it? This particular deal specifically is the fact that I keep reiterating on it. This is why Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal are not first party, even though by all rights they should be, along with Tomb Raider and all those crazy IPs. Could you imagine Deus Ex and Lara Croft, Tomb Raider as first party IPs? That'd have been madness. But right, that didn't happen. They're working on this, and the importance of this is so widespread that it's across console, it's across PC, and more importantly, it's across mobile. And if you're wondering how much how big is mobile for Activision? Well, I read this during the Xbox Factor podcast yesterday, which was an amazing episode. If you missed it, definitely go back and check that out. That's closing on 6K views, which is bonkers. They made over $838 million in 90 days. Think about that for a second. That's not Call of Duty Mobile. That's not the Diablo Mobile. $600+ million of that 90 days came from Candy Crush, bro.
Yep. Candy
so
Crush.
The importance of this deal, I know that we all want to just put the Call of Duty hat on, boop, put it on, and that's all we see, because it is the biggest IP out of this deal. But again, Blizzard is, they have WoW, right? They have all of their connections to PC. King, just do the math, $600+ million in 90 days. Think about that for a second, folks. 90 days equals $600 million. And Microsoft is going to be putting that into their bank account, potentially investing even further, which, again, that's something we talked about yesterday. They've already claimed that this is not it. As soon as this deal is done, they're on the hunt for someone else. Who is that going to be? I don't know, to be honest with you. But I do want to catch up. I know, Bunty, you said you dropped a super chat. I can't find it. I'm at YouTube right now, and I'm looking through the channel. I can't find it. But if I do find it,
I got it.
Oh, you do? Okay, excellent.
A Bunty with the $10 super chat. Love what you do, Boom. Keep up the good work. I've been saving money since Game Pass came out.
Indeed.
Thanks to Xbox. I have 2 Xbox Series X and 2 Xbox Series S. Do the math. It's a no-brainer.
Dude, well, thank you for the generosity. And of course, absolutely. There absolutely is a no-brainer. Yesterday, Gerald Mack dropped in a super chat at the end. I didn't see it then. I see it now. It's a $2 super chat. Gerald Mack, shout out to you, brother, for the generosity. He says, I see your Evo and I raise you an MLG. And that's something that came up yesterday. Folks, again, we have still over 400 people here for this impromptu podcast. Crispy, what do you call it? Mike Cardona drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I love watching Sony stumble, LOL. I'd be petty now, shorten the advertisement deal and make it cost more. That's what we just said. It used to be 300 million. Now it's 500 million. You know why that's not going to happen? Because what Microsoft is going to do is they're going to pull a Sony. That's the reality. They're going to pull a Sony. They're going to use Call of Duty. And again, we always talk about this, and I want this to be clear. Console sales are important to any conversation because they're still console sales. Now, we know that that's not where you make your money. You make your money on software sales. That's a proven fact. That's not even a suggestion. That is what happens. But when you look at the way Microsoft is doing things, right now you could play on PC, you can play on console, you can play on your tablet, your phone. Later on this year with the Samsung TVs in 2022, you're going to be able to play there with just clicking the app and looking up a controller. They're literally giving you any way to play. You're going to be able to play on your fridge soon enough, I would imagine.
You already can.
And I saw someone playing 2K in someone's Tesla.
Yeah.
There was some kid playing 2K on Xbox Game Pass.
No, the Samsung refrigerators can play Game Pass.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So, look, the reality is that this report that has come out from BGC is really does paint Microsoft, Sony in a very, very bad light. And again, it was stressed that they were the only third party to have a problem with this deal. And you know what? It's expected. They're the current market leader, and I'm telling you that's going to change. Is Call of Duty going to be responsible for that change? Well, if I'm a betting kind of a guy, I'm going to say yes, it is. It is going to change because the casual audience, which equates to 80+%, and I'm being generous, it could be more. The hardcore, and I say we, there's 450 people here. You're all hardcore. Crispy and I, we're hardcore gamers. We know the ins and outs of the industry. We keep our ear to the floor. We play games, but we also come on these podcasts and discuss important topics. That's being hardcore. If you're in the chat and you saw a notification that Double Barrel Gaming went live and you're here, you're freaking hardcore because you want to know what's going on. But the reality is that Microsoft is banking. I'm telling you this. They didn't say this. I'm telling you this, Crispy, and I'm going to get your opinion. They're banking on getting back the Call of Duty marketing rights because they're going to own the brand, and they are going to go ham on advertising the next Call of Duty. Best place to play as low as $5 a month because that's coming. Right now it's 100 games for $15 a month. Once the family plan launches officially in the States, Crispy, there's going to be marketing material that says for as low as $5 a month, you can get access to 100 games, and Call of Duty is going to be in that. It is game over for Sony as market leader. Anything you want to add to that, Crispy?
Oh, I feel like almost like accidentally, because they kind of said that this deal wasn't really like something on their radar. They didn't think it was even possible. I don't remember
it was
where
dropped
that's from.
Into their lap.
Basically, that's somebody said that. I know that for a fact because I remember reading it. So this was dropped into their lap, and really, if you look at Xbox marketing as of late, it's a lot of social media, a lot of internet stuff. Well, that's because it's their bread, but they're really good at that. They got Windows, you know what I mean? They can, kind of just implement it into the systems easily. I want to see them because you saw it with the Halo series, and I feel like they were like, you know what, we can get people into our games with this series. You know what I'm saying? We can bring them. Oh, look, what is this? What is this Halo? Who's a Spartan? You know what I mean? Get them really, and if they got a kid, be like, oh, this is what it is. And like, if they like the show, then maybe they would come to the game. That's why you saw that, at NFL, like Monday Night Football or whatever, or Sunday night. You know what I'm saying? You saw a lot of that. When they get Call of Duty, the full-on marketing rights, you're just going to see that everywhere. And it's going to be like what Sony's been doing for years.
Yeah.
Because they've used a lot more third party than anything else. You know what I'm saying? That's really where they've been advertised. Like, yeah, you'll get your God of Wars, and they'll put it on, subways and buses, especially in Japan, stuff like that, and like Los Angeles and New York. But, then you'll see it probably at some sporting event or some like the Emmys or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they're not, what do they really have after God of War? They already released Horizon Zero Dawn. You know what I mean? And every time they seem to announce something, it's end up being a year or two later. And I'm not making excuses. I'm not saying Microsoft's doing any better right now. What I'm saying is, it's like we give Xbox flack, but I mean that's Sony's blueprint. We're just freaking, it ain't good enough. Move it back, and everybody's accepted it, and the games come out good. So who's to say that Microsoft didn't say, you know what, if Sony can get away with it, why can't we? So this is where I go and say this competition, this is good. Like what they do is good, and hopefully, I don't want to ever see another console maker die because I watched
Sega
die.
Yeah, man. That was heartbreaking, brother.
I watched like even like, the 3DOs of the world, like all these consoles.
Dude, I have
3DO was amazing back.
Dude,
I'm
it was
sorry,
so good.
and it had
so
no games.
Good, dude. Oh my god. Listen, I got news for you. The Jaguar was
Jaguar
dope.
was really good too. Yeah,
Aliens versus Predator on the Jaguar to this day is legendary, ladies and gentlemen.
you know,
Legendary.
and this is where I want, like if Call of Duty is not there, like now you got to pay your full price. You know what I'm saying? Probably ASAP. It's going to be, everything's going to be in Game Pass, or maybe they have a little little fine print in there that says, you can't release it to any subscriber. I doubt that was the case because I believe this deal was done a long time before, Game Pass was on Sony's radar.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it goes into Game Pass. Now you're looking at it and you're saying, well, what can we offer the gamer? Because all you're doing is just charging them full price for everything. Well, Xbox is like, hey, you want to play Avowed? Hey, you want to play Hellblade? Hey, you want to play Starfield? Hey, you want to play Call of Duty? Like it keeps going. Like, yeah, just $15.
Like I said, it's pretty bonkers. Like I said, if we were to line up, and I'm going to do this one day, I listen, folks. I get it. Microsoft sucks this year. That's a reality. We can't argue that. I give them plenty of smoke. They did not read the room correctly. And Xbox gamers, even though there's a lot to play still, we're not saying there's not a lot to play. They did disappoint in first party. No one's making an excuse for that. But the reality is that once this train gets chugging and they start hitting their beats with releases, it is going to be the most dominant brand in gaming. And again, I'm not taking nothing away from Sony's first party games. I'm taking nothing away from what Nintendo does, because I own all the consoles and I buy them specifically and Nintendo and PlayStation for their first party stuff. I buy them all. And they have great experiences. There's no doubt about it. But once this train, Crispy, gets chugging, and you start hearing that every 2 months they have a banger that's coming out, and regardless of whatever it is going to really be a conversation. And more specifically, and we'll close out with this, and I want to get your opinion on this. I think the fearful aspect of Sony's opinion on this is, how are we going to ask our fans to pay $76.43 with tax here in New York when you can go for as low as $5 a month if you're involved in the family plan, or solo at $15 a month, and get the same game with all the perks? It's going to be a very hard sale, folks. Think again. I'm not. This is not console warring. This is, let's be fair. Let's look at this from a dollar to dollar point of view and have a value conversation. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think this is one of the reasons why Sony is so concerned, Crispy.
I mean, and I know like the trolls are going to start coming out of the woodwork, and it's going to be hilarious because I just get more screenshots to laugh at later. Because
which you drop in the DM quite often, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
and it's one of those things, like, you're going to contradict yourself at some point, because Sony's going to have no choice but to go day and date.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Even if because Stadia is still technically around, if they want to survive, they're going to have to go to this model, because Microsoft's they're not changing. You could scream at the top of your lungs if you're like a diehard PlayStation fan. Microsoft's going to do what we want because we're Xbox fans, and we are totally happy with what they provide us. The only thing we ask is get your darn first party ish together. Okay. Yep. Get it together. All right. But once this train's rolling, I feel like it's going to turn into Mad Max in these streets, bro. I'm just telling you, it's going to turn. There's going to be bombs. Well, it's going to be legit like chaos. Okay. Because there's some of you guys, and you might not even be in the chat, but there's some of you guys that have not pivoted yet. And when you pivot, you're going to look so darn bad because, 16 million to 22. We weren't at this last year. We were Xbox fans because we had a certain IP. Mine was Gears. Right. You know what I'm saying? Booms was probably Halo. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's somebody that was probably Forza. And they kept coming out with quality titles for those games. And we just loved Xbox because, we love those titles. And then me, I've always felt like the multiplayer, especially in the past like 10 years, has been much better than what I've ever experienced on PlayStation. Other than that, we didn't have much to be excited about. We still defended our square. And we sat here the whole time and y'all beat us in the head and said, oh, wait until next year. I'm going to tell you right now, when that next year actually comes, you ain't going to like it. And I think that's going to be next year. I'm just telling you.
I absolutely agree. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is your 60-minute show. It was. I got to read out a couple super chats that just came in. Justin drops a $5 super chat. Thank you for being here, Justin, and also thank you for the generosity. He says, "When the mother-in-law is over watching reality TV with the missus, and I'm playing Xbox Game Pass on PC because PS Premium streaming is garbage." Yeah, I mean, it's it is what it is.
Some
now.
People, it does work good. I know a few.
Yeah, I mean, look, well, I'll put it this way: it's a new service, and they have one because of Xbox Game Pass, and it's gonna continue to grow, and it's gonna continue to be better. And hopefully, Microsoft forces Sony into the corner, and they go, well, we got to go day and date. And that is where you're going to see the numbers for PlayStation Premium.
Even if you do a $20 tier, another tier, you could just be like, you know what? We're going to add another tier, $20
tier. Games day and date.
Yep, I would be totally fine with that. I mean, because I know they're not Microsoft. They can't take that overhead risk. You know what I mean? So add the extra $2. You add a 20 million, add the money up. I mean, it's a lot of money. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sir X-Man drops a very generous $2 super chat, and we hope that you are feeling much better, Sir X-Man. He says, 4 months till God of War, no trailers, game will be delayed. A lot of people are saying that. I mean, I know that Corey Barlog and the team came out and said, no, it's coming this year. If it does, it's going to be, I can't wait. I'm a huge fan of God of War. I loved God of War 2018. I will definitely be buying day one. And I will be playing it. I would love not to have to pay for full boat, but it is what it is at this point. Sith Lord drops an outstanding $5 super chat. He's a good friend and generous friend of the program. He says, "Boom, working overtime this week. Xbox Factor podcast." That's right. I was on RDX last night, Dealer Gaming Show. If you missed that, we had a lot of fun. I hung out with Zalker and D-Batch and Tim Dog and of course who am I missing? Jay Fonzarelli. So it was a lot of fun. If you missed that episode, check out Dealer Gaming, who had just crossed, by the way, 111,000 subscribers for his amazing YouTube channel. Well deserved for sure. And let's make sure I didn't miss anybody else here. Big shout out to 460 people that tuned in for this impromptu podcast. Crispy Bomb, let's get you the heck out of here. Sorry if I couldn't say hello to everyone, because like I said, I was trying to catch up. And I did mention some people. I just want to say thank you for tuning into today's impromptu show. Crispy, where can people find you on social media? But more importantly, check you out on other podcasts.
We're doing a double header, Boom.
That's right. We sure are.
At Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28, Xbox Live tonight, 7 p.m. We got Primetime Gaming. Yes, back on this channel. And then we got the next podcast, which is probably going to get real messy now, 8 p.m. Tomorrow night. So nice. Yeah, that's my plate for this week. Other than that, you can find me on Retro Renegades. And sometimes I do show up on Breakfast with Boom when I can.
Yeah. And speaking of which, let me just give people the update of what's happening. For remainder of the week, Primetime Gaming tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thursday, which is, of course, tomorrow, I'm going to be sitting down with one half of Living Split Screen. That's right. Steel Rain and I are going to be talking everything Xbox on the new episode of X Vlog Live. That's about a 70-minute program. That goes live 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Friday morning, ladies and gentlemen, Breakfast with Boom, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have two special guests joining us. We'll be sitting down with the panel as well as Noof Nukem and Mav from Fun Speculation to be joining the fray to talk up and start your Friday morning with some unbelievable topics. And that's happening 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Friday. And tomorrow at 2 p.m., because I'm really working overtime this week, I'm going to be guest appearing on Boxenberger's weekly podcast. That's right. So I think that's going to be 7 podcasts this week, and I love it. So if you want to hear more of Boom's antics, tune into the live shows, and of course, check out last night's RDX, as well as tuning in tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Box and Burgers channel. I'll be sitting down with him, and he does have a permanent guest, right? I think he added recently the Wandering Dutch. Oh my God, that's right. He hasn't been here in a couple of weeks. Dutch, how could I forget that beard? The Wandering Dutch. I'll be sitting down with him and Box and Burger tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and hopefully Dutch will be back tonight on Primetime Gaming. Thanks so much for checking out the show, hanging out with us. 460 plus people. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and share this out on social media, folks. Let people know that we had this impromptu podcast, and we will see you back here tonight on the official episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. Take care, everyone. We'll see you tonight.